Imagine a perfect warm spring morning. You step out into your garden or onto the balcony where your favorite flowers stand in large ceramic pots. The sun pleasantly warms your back and the air smells of moist earth and morning freshness. You decide to tidy up a bit, perhaps repot a few plants or simply remove old yellowed leaves. You lean over, grab the rough edges of the pot with your hands, and lift it slightly to move it to another sunnier spot. And in that very second, on the damp earth right where the heavy bottom just stood, you see it. Something dark, something long, something incredibly fast. It scurries about, it panics, it searches for shade, your pulse jumps, you recoil, you hold your breath. It is perfectly understandable why your hand instantly reaches for a garden trowel, or why your heavy boot is already automatically raised for a lethal strike. Your brain desperately screams at you, no, this is danger. And this is an absolutely justified ancient evolutionary reaction to any unknown creature that looks like it is entirely made of weapons. Its flat, dark brown segmented body resembles a miniature armored vehicle, and at the very end of this body lies the thing that evokes the greatest primal animal terror, a pair of sharp, menacing, curved pincers. They open and close. They look like a medieval instrument of torture, created solely to inflict unbearable pain. But stop. Freeze for exactly 1 second. Lower your raised boot and just look closely at this scurrying armored creature that is currently trying to burrow into the soil. Because right now, in this exact moment, you are a millimeter away from making a terrible, irreparable mistake for your yard's ecosystem. Before you declare war and mercilessly crush it in the name of your own peace of mind, you need to know something critically important. By destroying this creature, you are not just killing an innocent random bystander in the insect world. You are single-handedly, consciously eliminating your best natural defense, your perfect free night guard, who just tonight was supposed to save your best plants from a real, invisible, but incredibly destructive threat. But before we tear off the masks and name this true ruthless garden monster, let's deal with that deep, irrational fear that is currently making you hold your leg tense. Remember, who told you those creepy fairy tales about earwigs in your childhood? Who first convinced you that these creatures exist in this world only to cause harm to humans? Perhaps it was other kids in the schoolyard or at summer camp, whispering in the dark with wide, terrified eyes that these insects crawl into the ears of sleeping people at night. They claim that earwigs chew through eardrums with their horrific pincers, burrow deep into the brain itself, and lay their eggs there so their larvae can eat you from the inside out. Or maybe it was your neighbors at the country house who authoritatively stated that a single bite from this insect is deadly poisonous and can cause a terrible blood infection. Think about it for a second. Turn on some cold, ruthless logic. What will it actually do to your ear? Use its tiny, chitinous pincers to pierce a solid human skull that can withstand direct hits from rocks? Or perhaps it possesses a secret alien acid that biologists know nothing about. This absurd mythology is so deeply and securely rooted in our global culture that even the very name of this insect in dozens of languages translates literally as ear piercer or earwig. We have so demonized this small creature based solely on an urban legend that we don't even ask ourselves any logical questions. We simply blindly, driven by mob instincts, destroy it as soon as we see those curved pincers at the end of its body. If you have ever been afraid to fall asleep, thinking that this armored insect is seeking shelter in your head, you have become a victim of the greatest PR disaster in the history of the natural world. But here's the part that no one ever tells you. The earwig is not an instrument of torture, not a monster from the dungeon, and certainly not a carrier of deadly poisons. In fact, it is one of the most complex and, as incredible as it sounds right now, gentlest creatures that have ever run across your lawn. Let's look at it without panic, without prejudice, and without the baggage of childhood fears. Let's start with the scariest part, the thing that makes you reach for a weapon. Its pincers. In the scientific world, they look like the ruthless weapon of a gladiator, specially created by evolution to shed blood and tear flesh. But the reality of their application is much more prosaic, practical, and even elegant. The earwig has no venom glands whatsoever. None at all. Not a single drop of toxin. It physically cannot inject you with venom because it simply does not exist in its biological architecture. It does not bite humans with its mouth. It does not feed on our blood. These terrifying rear pincers are not a weapon of mass destruction. They are a multifunctional Swiss Army knife that nature gifted to this creature for complex daily survival. Yes, they do use them to defend against giant predators like birds, mice, or frogs by raising their tails up and trying to look bigger and scarier than they really are. This is just a masterful theatrical performance, a desperate bluff of a small insect that wants to live. They might lightly pinch your finger if you roughly grab them with your hand, but this pinch is barely capable of piercing even the thinnest layer of human skin. It is more akin to a light press with blunt tweezers than an actual bite, but the most amazing application of these tools lies in something completely different. Did you know that many species of earwigs can fly? Yes, beneath their hard, short carapace, which looks like solid armor, hide incredibly complex, wide, translucent wings. They unfold from under the shell like the world's most intricate origami masterpiece. Their geometry and structure are so perfect that modern engineers have been studying the earwig wing folding principle for decades to create space solar panels and ultra-compact folding tents. And do you know what helps this insect neatly fold fold these huge vulnerable wings back under its tiny carapace after a long flight? Those very same terrifying pincers. It uses them as delicate, precise tweezers, throwing its tail over its back to neatly, millimeter by millimeter, pack its wings away without damaging a single microscopic vein. What you have considered a tool of ruthless murder your whole life is actually an instrument for maintaining the perfect, meticulous order of its own body. And now, the most interesting part. The time has come to tear off the masks and reveal the secret of that true merciless monster from which this little armored machine protects your garden every night. Why does it even live under your favorite pots, in damp fallen leaves, or hide deep beneath the bark of old trees? It sits there all day for a reason. It is waiting. These are its strategic bases, its hunting ground, and its main, most desired prey is the worst, most destructive and invisible nightmare of any farmer or gardener: aphids. While you look at your garden and see only innocent little green, black, or white dots sitting motionless on the stems of your best roses, crunchy cucumbers, or young fruit trees, dispassionate ecology sees a ruthless, devastating army of clones. Aphids don't just eat leaves. They reproduce at a terrifying exponential rate, not even needing partners to mate. They pierce their sharp, microscopic proboscises deep into the tenderest tissues of your plants and continuously, drop by drop, suck the sugar-rich life juices out of them. They critically deplete the leaves, causing them to curl and turn yellow. They completely stop the growth of new shoots. Worse yet, they are the main vectors for deadly plant viruses that cannot be cured. This is a quiet, silent epidemic capable of turning your blooming green oasis into a lifeless, dried-up desert in just a few short weeks. And right here, onto this stage of silent tragedy, steps our neglected, hated, and misunderstood Earwig. When the sun sets below the horizon, when the deep night falls and you sleep soundly in your warm bed, entirely unconcerned about the safety of your ears, a true brutal battle for the survival of your harvest begins under the cover of darkness. The Earwig leaves its damp, safe haven under the pot and instantly transforms into a ruthless, incredibly efficient, and tireless predator. It silently patrols the stems, broad leaves, and closed buds. Its long antennae pick up the slightest vibrations. It finds dense, overcrowded aphid colonies and begins its midnight feast. In a single long night, just one adult earwig can destroy dozens, and sometimes hundreds, of these green pests that would otherwise kill your rows. It eats them with an animalistic appetite that cannot be satiated. It also actively hunts microscopic spider mites that dry leaves out to the state of parchment. It finds and devours the eggs of harmful moths and soft-bodied larvae that by tomorrow morning could have chewed huge holes in your perfect lettuce or cabbage. It is your personal, free, eco-friendly, fully autonomous defender drone that works without days off and demands no payment from you. By destroying earwigs with toxic chemicals, or crushing them with heavy boots in a fit of panic, you single-handedly and voluntarily open the massive gates of your green fortress to an army of true, ruthless destroyers. You are killing your most powerful ally simply because you once disliked its tail design as a child. And this is where another myth appears, or rather a grandiose and tragic misunderstanding of how the world of microfauna works. We are all used to considering invertebrates as absolutely cold, soulless biological automatons driven by only two instincts: to eat and to reproduce. We firmly believe that insects simply lay a large pile of eggs somewhere in dark dirt and instantly forget about them forever, leaving their defenseless offspring to the mercy of predators and the weather. But the earwig brutally shatters this stereotype to pieces as well. Get ready, because what you are about to learn should forever change your perspective on this armored insect. Earwigs are some of the most caring, devoted, and incredibly selfless mothers in the entire giant world of insects. This is no exaggeration. This is not a metaphor. This is a harsh biological fact. It is a true miracle of nature, hidden from our eyes deep underground. Late in the fall, when the earth begins to cool and the first frosts touch the grass, the female earwig begins her most important work. She uses her jaws and legs to dig a deep, perfectly safe, isolated chamber underground, or under a thick layer of rotting wood. She creates absolute, sterile cleanliness there and carefully lays a small pile of pearly white translucent eggs. And from this very moment, she completely ceases her normal free life. She no longer goes out to eat. She does not come up to the surface. She voluntarily locks herself in this dark, cold, underground burrow for the entire long, harsh winter, and through the unpredictable, dangerous early spring, she transforms into an absolute, uncompromising protector of her future. For many months, in complete darkness, she meticulously sorts through each egg one by one with her jaws. She gently licks them on all sides, spending hours cleaning their surfaces from microscopic spores of deadly soil fungi and bacteria. This is a titanic effort. If she stops doing this for even a few days, or if she dies, aggressive underground mold will instantly consume and destroy all of her unborn children. She constantly turns them over, moving them from place to place so that each egg receives the perfect amount of moisture and enough oxygen for development. If a dangerous predator, a venomous centipede, a hungry spider, or a large predatory beetle tries to infiltrate her hidden burrow, this little mother does not flee. She fearlessly throws herself into an unequal battle. She turns her back to the enemy, fiercely waving her pincers, snapping them in the air, risking her own life and taking hits on her carapace for a single purpose: protecting the nest. She starves for many long months, slowly losing her strength, her shell fading from exhaustion, but she never, under any circumstances, abandons abandons her post. And even in the spring, when the shells break and tiny, pale, translucent nymphs, microscopic copies of their parents that look extremely vulnerable, finally hatch from the eggs, the mother does not leave. Her mission is not yet complete. She continues to care for them. She goes out for short periods of time to find and bring them the best, softest food. With her own body, she shields their weak, not yet hardened shells from the dangers of the cruel outside world, from predators and sharp temperature drops, until the babies are strong enough to venture out onto the vast surface on their own and begin their own independent lives. Many earwig mothers give so much life energy to this grueling process of care and protection that they die quietly from total exhaustion at the bottom of their burrow shortly after their children leave the family nest forever. If this story has just changed your attitude toward what is happening in your home and garden, drop a like and subscribe, because nature is full of creatures that seem terrifying right up until the moment you discover their main secret. Think about this for a second. Put all these facts together. That very same creature, which from childhood we have been accustomed to thinking of as a disgusting parasite, a creepy monster from urban horror stories that supposedly threatens our brains, is actually the absolute epitome of maternal sacrifice. She protects her children with the same incredible ferocity and devotion with which noble birds protect their chicks from predators, or with which intelligent mammals defend their young. And we humans, armed with thick-soled boots and cans of harsh chemical sprays, mercilessly destroy these hidden nests, crushing these starving, selfless mothers, without even thinking about what a complex, fragile, balanced, and beautifully unique microcosm we have just annihilated with a single thoughtless stomp. Of course, I must be completely honest and objective with you. No one in this world is perfect, and the wild nature is by no means a colorful Disney fairy tale where everyone always lives in peace. Sometimes imbalances occur, especially if the spring turned out to be extremely wet, long, and warm, and the aphid colonies for some reason suddenly disappeared or were destroyed by natural factors. The earwig population in your yard can rapidly increase. When there are too many of them, and when they critically lack their favorite protein food in the form of pests, they might turn their hungry attention to the tender young shoots of your ornamental plants. They really can nibble a bit on the sweet petals of your dahlias, gorgeous chrysanthemums, or the juicy young leaves of the fresh seedlings you just planted in the ground. You might see small, uneven, chewed holes on the edges of the leaves. But let's turn on our cold reason. Let's think like wise strategists who look at the big picture, not like panic mongers who react to every rustle. Is it worth completely destroying an entire army of free, tireless natural sanitizers over a few nibbled petals and a couple of spoiled leaves? Is it worth flooding your beloved garden with toxic, deadly, broad-spectrum pesticides? These poisons won't just kill the earwig. They will poison your fertile soil for a long time. They will be washed away by the rains and end up in clean groundwater. They are guaranteed to destroy vital, beneficial bees, beautiful butterflies, incredibly important earthworms, and ladybugs. And you are ready to unleash all this horrific destruction just to get rid of an insect that spends the absolute majority of its time honestly and diligently working for your own well-being? The answer should be obvious to everyone. A brutal chemical war in your own yard is a guaranteed road to nowhere. It is the self-made creation of a dead, toxic zone, a sterile desert, where in the end the real pests will win anyway. Because aphids reproduce much faster than predators, and when you wipe out all the hunters, the pests will have no natural enemies left to stop them. So what should you do if one morning you lift your favorite pot of petunias and see a massive colony of these swift-winged, pincered wanderers bothering you? What should be the algorithm of actions for a modern, empathetic, thinking person who deeply understands the immutable rules of the game of great nature? The first and most important golden rule is to lower your boot. Take your hand off the can of insecticide. Take a deep, calm breath. The second rule is to just leave them alone and let them do their job. They are hiding under this pot not to plot a devious conspiracy against you or your children at all. They sit there for one simple physiological reason. Their smooth bodies lose water quickly, and they critically need high humidity and deep darkness during the day, just so they don't simply dry up under the scorching, ruthless sun. Your heavy pot just accidentally created the perfect, cool microclimate for them. If you are really deeply bothered by their presence in this specific spot, for example, on your perfectly clean, bright terrace where you love to drink your morning coffee, you are not obligated to kill them. You can use their own natural instincts to gently, humanely, and completely bloodlessly relocate them to another place. This is done incredibly simply. Take a regular old newspaper sheet or a piece of corrugated cardboard. Lightly moisten it with water from a spray bottle and roll it into a loose, fluffy tube. Place this damp tube late in the evening right next to the spot where you have regularly seen clusters of earwigs. At night, they will come out of their hiding place for another hunt for pests. And towards morning, when the first rays of the sun begin to illuminate the garden, they will instinctively start searching for a new, perfect, dark, and damp place for a safe sleep. And they will definitely crawl into your welcoming, moist newspaper trap, considering it the best shelter in the world. In the morning, when you wake up, you simply take this newspaper with your hands, making no sudden movements, and calmly, without rushing, carry it to the farthest corner of your garden, somewhere where thick bushes grow, where old firewood lies, or where your compost pit is located. Just shake them out onto the ground there. That is all. No panic, no unnecessary drama. No senseless killing. You brilliantly dealt with the problem. You simply relocated your free elite biological special forces squad to a new strategically important base, where they will gladly continue their invisible but extremely crucial work. They will continue to eat countless colonies of aphids, they will process rotting leaves into useful substances, and constantly improve the structure and fertility of your soil. Our blooming gardens, green balconies, and cozy yards are not sterile operating rooms with dead plastic decorations. We cannot and should not try to control every millimeter-sized creature that crosses our territory. Our yards are living, pulsing, breathing, extremely complex and multifaceted ecosystems where every detail, even the most terrifying looking one, has its unique, critical significance for the overall balance. Every crawling insect, every shiny bug, every blade of grass is firmly connected to each other by the invisible but extremely strong threads of ancient food chains. And by roughly pulling out just one such thread with our reckless strike, we can imperceptibly destroy the entire beautiful pattern of the life cycle. We, as the most intelligent species on this planet, must finally stop judging the small inhabitants of the wild solely by their physical appearance or based on absurd childish superstitions. Yes, undeniably, evolution created the earwig millions of years ago not at all, so that today it could participate in televised beauty pageants among house pets. It looks like a stern, ruthless warrior encased in dark chitinous armor with a creepy cold weapon at the ready. But now you know that behind this cruel, repelling exterior hides an incredibly useful, hard-working hunter of real pests, and, most importantly, a surprisingly tender, sacrificial, and caring mother who is ready to give her life for her children. Now that you possess this knowledge, when you clearly understand what an incredible drama and what hard work takes place every night in the dark, damp corners of your garden, you will never again be able to look at this creature with that old, irrational, childish fear. The next time you accidentally lift an old piece of rotting wood, a forgotten bucket, or a damp stone near the path, and this lightning-fast, silver-brown shadow abruptly tries to escape from the bright daylight, your brain will no longer sound the alarm. Your heart will not accelerate its rhythm from a panic attack or disgust. Your hand will no longer feverishly search for a heavy object to strike. Instead, you will see a completely different picture. You will not see a cruel monster just waiting for the night to crawl into your ear. You will see an exhausted, tired mother who is simply looking for safe shelter from the sun. You will see a stern night patrolman patiently waiting for the cool sunset to head out once more into a deadly battle for the health and beauty of your favorite roses. You will feel a deep respect for this tiny, eternally misunderstood, and world-persecuted orderly who every day, entirely unnoticed, does that dirty and difficult work that you could never do yourself, even with the best chemicals in the world. Leave the old, destructive fears far in the past. Leave these naive childhood myths and superstitions to those people who do not want to develop, discover new things, and learn to understand the world around them. Let pure knowledge, cold logic, and deep human empathy become your main, most important garden tools in your arsenal. And if you take this step towards understanding, you will see how your personal world around you will begin to incredibly transform. It will become much more balanced, more harmonious, healthier, and endlessly fascinating to observe. From now on, every encounter you have with wild nature, even with its smallest representatives, will cease to be a stress and a battle for survival. It will become a wonderful moment of observation, discovery, and quiet, sincere gratitude for how wisely, ingeniously, and perfectly this amazing continuous mechanism of life on our planet is arranged.